everybody, my name is Raze Chaos. You have made it back to my channel, and okay, this is a little bit different than usual because normally Raze does a single pop video regarding a wrestler of some kind, WWE, primarily due to the fact that he used to be a big wrestling fan, used to love that stuff, but then kind of got out of it. Still kind of watch a little bit, you know, I'll watch highlights and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's just like the core people that I enjoyed watching are old and not around anymore. So makes it a little difficult. But normally I just do the single pop video on somebody that I really enjoyed watching when I was younger. Occasionally a new person, like a newer wrestler, will pop in there. But today is a little bit different because Raze doesn't really do a big Friday video, or do one of his Friday videos on wrestling, and that's exactly what is happening in this case, because Raze went and got the bitty pops. I've had a lot of good luck with the bitty pops as far as getting the mystery characters, but then again, I've also had some really stupid tasks assigned to me on that. Case in point being buying the entire individual box of Batman biddies, not realizing that the mystery biddies are not included in that, which is actually dumber than me having bought the thing. And would say that and that's embarrassing enough. Yeah, it's not like I bought the Avengers Infinity Gauntlet minis before I found out about that or anything. God. But lesson learned, and we won't be doing anything like that again. The bitty pops are really cool, except for the fact that the way they handle them are a little bit dumb, like not putting the mystery biddies in the in those larger boxes, and the whole the little scenes and stuff that they're doing. They're putting bigger figures out for these little tiny mini pops, and it's just kind of like, no, stay the course. Put the mystery minis in put the mystery biddies in the big display thing. That can only make things grow, because if you've only got the commons, why is anybody going to go back and grab one of these when they can see exactly the one that they want right there, without a chance of getting one of the minis? There, yeah, you could be selling out of those little individual things. But I'm not going to yell too much about that, because we've got the WWE, and we're going to put this guy away, and we're going to have a look at these bad boys. So looking at these, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the back of this one. I've got them in order, like here, in the way they are on the back here, so if that helps anything. The mystery biddies are essentially the champions. I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, you've got Bret Hart right here on the front, and Shawn Michaels is right on the front here too. And, you know, there's Dusty Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat. They're pretty much, it's full of champions, but the mystery biddies are the bigger champions, such as Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Triple H. I mean, honestly, I don't care if I get them. I would like to get a Triple H. It would be cool to get Stone Cold or The Rock. Don't really care if I get Hulk Hogan or not, but, you know, that's just me. But, yeah, so I know I'm going to get at least one. I could get, like, I guess the worst case scenario here for Raze at this point is he ends up getting 4 Hulk Hogans. Would not be a happy camper there, but otherwise, yeah, this is going to be cool. I hope I get, yeah, I'd be cool with getting them all except Hogan if that's how it turned out. But we're going to go ahead and tear this open and have a look at them, because I love looking at the details on this. And there are a lot of pops, there are a lot of bitty pops here that I do not have the full-size pop of, and probably wouldn't get them if I could. Yeah, I'm gonna take these guys out, have a look at them. If this is your first time checking out the biddies, it looks like a bigger thing. They put the little case that you could put all 4 that you just got right in there. So we're going to use that to keep them, well, we're going to turn this around to kind of keep them in order, because I get a little crazy, and for some reason I just insist on doing it. And first up we're going to have a look at, we are going to have Bret the Hitman Hart, which Bret's definitely one that's right up there. I mean, he was the excellence of execution. He was always badass. I remember being a little kid watching the Hart Foundation when they were a tag team and just thinking he was the scarier one. I just enjoyed watching him then. I enjoyed watching him cross over into singles competition, eventually going down to the big road to the big one, the big championships and everything, all the way up until a screw job. The only time I really didn't enjoy watching Bret Hart is when he was in WCW, because I got so tired of him. But yeah, you can open these guys up and see the individual little tiny guy inside. They are so tiny, and you know they look exactly like they do as far as the full-size pop. This is one that I would get the full size if I had the opportunity to. I just haven't had the opportunity to. So Bret Hart to start us out. That is excellent. And of course that leads us right into one of his biggest rivals, which is one of my favorites of all time, and that is Shawn Michaels. And as I have mentioned before, I am a huge fan of the Clique. Not so much that I was always just like, oh, there's the Clique. It was a lot of wrestlers that I enjoyed watching. Eventually, I found out that they were all part of a backstage group known as the Clique. They were all friends, and you know, it just kind of worked out that way. It was like there really wasn't a member of the Clique that I didn't enjoy watching. And of course Shawn Michaels was the leader of that. But do we get that? No, we get the really bright version of him. One of his light versus darkness when he battled the Undertaker to help to try and stop the infamous streak. And yeah, he's not one of my favorite looks, but I mean, his looks kind of came secondary in the idea of how good he was in the ring and how well he sold, how well he the show he put on, and that's why he had more hits than misses when it came to his stuff. He was the leader of the NWO when he came and took over the NWO in when WWF did that, or WWE did that. But I mean, it was the Clique that was pretty much D-Generation X and NWO. Honestly, you could have switched out any of the majority of the members. You could have switched out during that time, and it would have worked, except for Hogan, because he was a douche. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, that's Shawn Michaels, and that's the awesome look there. And then it leads up to one of the most famous faces, and probably one of the guys who I learned the name faster than anybody was Mean Gene Okerlund, the legendary announcer for the WWE and then later WCW. A lot of what I initially got into when I did get into wrestling, what initially drew me in, which is kind of embarrassing. It's embarrassing now because I don't like him now, but it was Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. I'd never really watched any wrestling before that. After I watched that show, I enjoyed the characters and wanted to watch the real ones, and it kind of grew from there. But they would have live action bits in there that were always hosted by Mean Gene Okerlund. It was actually rare to see the animated Mean Gene Okerlund on that show as it was the live action bits of it. But he was right there from the beginning. And little tidbit. The mean in Mean Gene Okerlund actually came from Hulk Hogan during Hulkamania. Referred to him when he would, in an interview, he'd be like, well, you know, Mean Gene, and that essentially, he kept repeating that, and eventually it stuck. It's much like when Jonathan Coachman first became an interviewer and announcer in the WWE. He met up with The Rock before he did his first interview with him, and The Rock just basically decided, hey, I'm going to make sure people remember your name. And so when he said his name was Jonathan Coachman, The Rock started calling him Coach and repeating his name over and over again. And from that point on, he was Coach. So it's really cool when announcers who don't get a lot of fanfare on their own, just interviewing people, can get that little rub from either the champion or one of the biggest stars. So that is Mean Gene Okerlund, and I'm enjoying this, and that brings us to our first mystery character. Now, this could be Hogan, this could be Triple H, this could be The Rock or Stone Cold, and I could look at the top and already know, but I'm trying not to do that kind of thing because where's the fun in that? So let's get this guy open, and please don't make me get the knife. Make the bat knife come out here. Oh, there we go. We're going to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is your champion, and it is Trip. Oh, that is so badass. That is awesome because that gives me DX right off the bat, and that makes Raze happy. So yeah, this looks like this is from, goodness, the writing on this is tiny. I think this is the King of Kings, King of the Ring tournament that he did, where even Motorhead gave him an extra little rub, giving him another entrance song. But yeah, he's got the whole look going on here with the cape and the large sledgehammers, which sledgehammer was kind of Triple H's signature thing. So yeah, this is very exciting. I am really excited to have this one. It's not the one that came with this first batch, which that's cool. Because you never know who's going to come elsewhere. But yeah, we have got Triple H. We have got that King of Kings. And this is starting out well. And for those of you that don't know, Raze actually has gotten 2 perfect pulls from Biddy Pops, where he bought 4 of them at random, in some cases in different states. Picked them up in person, bought them, and then ended up with a perfect set of them, completely at random. And I've got to say, that's really cool when that happens. But it's happened about as many times as it hasn't. So it's really kind of hard not to get a little bit excited, because if it had happened once, I would have thought it was a fluke. But when it happened twice, I'm like, oh, that must mean that this is relatively easy. This is not an impossible thing to do. So now the excitement of having done that always makes you want to do it again. So we're going to open up the second batch, which the second batch has got more of the classic guys in it, which is cool. So we're going to leave this right here for a change so I can constantly refer back to it. But yeah, we're going to lay the first batch down, and technically, according to the back, this would be the row that one would, if it was exactly the way it was on the back of the box, this would be where Triple H actually appears, along with these things. So now we've got the son of the plumber, Dusty Rhodes, in his yellow polka dot attire. Obviously, if you're a newer fan of WWE, and not, this is Cody's dad. This is Goldust's dad, and that's it's he's carrying on that legacy, and he's a guy that they still talk about an awful lot in the WWE today. He was one of the people that helped. He was a promoter for WCW. He was the big promoter. I think he was one of the people that originally organized it, but I'm not 100% positive. Yeah, that is Dusty, and let's get him out here so I can get a closer look at this boy. Yeah, he's got his hand up, and he was honestly, he was kind of the guy who pulled the People's Champion out first, because he was the everyman. He was the son of a plumber. He was the regular everyman. He was never in the ripped shape that people would expect. He was always portly. He was always heavy, but he always went out and he always entertained. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of Dusty Rhodes. As much, honestly, my favorite of the batch is Goldust, just because he kept doing. I mean, you never knew what you were going to get with Goldust. But with Dusty, I think the biggest issue I had with him was primarily the lisp. That really kind of, it made it hard watching. I loved what he was saying in his promos, but I didn't really like how he was saying it, and I always found that distracting. Being somebody that had a lisp when I was a little kid, those things like stick out to me, and I end up focusing in on them, and it just kind of ruins whatever they're saying. And unfortunately, Cody's got it. But yeah, the yellow polka dot thing, it's funny. I'm like spending more time talking about Dusty. The yellow polka dot thing was actually, supposedly it was a weird gimmick that Vince McMahon forced on Dusty Rhodes when he came into WWE, and it was more like a punishment to make him look ridiculous out there. But, you know, Dusty used it, Dusty ran with it, Dusty made it cool, which that's always the sign of a true talent, that they can give you something stupid and you can run with it and not only make it yours, but make it awesome. And that's exactly what he did. It's a testament just to how good he was. And where are we going next? We are going with Jerry the King Lawler. I think this is officially the first of all these bitty pops of one where I actually have the full-size pop. I had to get Jerry Lawler, Jerry the King Lawler. He'd been wrestling for so long. I actually come into contact with him, I think probably about 3 times, just going to cons and everything. Never officially met him, but like was kind of around him. And yeah, it's kind of a weird way to, kind of hard to describe. Never actually met him, but I was in his presence a few times where I felt like I was part of his little crew. Um, but survived a stroke not long ago. Actually survived a heart attack that he had on air. But yeah, the amount of things that he contributed to the wrestling world is really almost impossible to count. He literally got his start from basically designing promo posters. He is an accomplished artist, and I have some of his stuff. His stuff. He did there was a behind the ring thing that he actually did the cover for, and it was doing that got his foot in the door where he could draw the promotional posters for the upcoming events, and then eventually worked his way into wrestling, and then essentially like he owned Memphis Wrestling. He's been the champion just about everywhere, and one of his biggest accomplishments is when he got into a feud with Andy Kaufman. You knew I was going to mention the Kaufman stuff because I love Andy Kaufman. But it was him being it was Kaufman being the TV star on Taxi that really drew attention to professional wrestling more, because this was Memphis wrestling. This was well, maybe that, I don't remember exactly what the territory was, but outside of that territory, you didn't hear anything about anything. Then all of a sudden, Andy Kaufman's beefing with this guy from Memphis, Tennessee, and really drew the attention, drew national attention to it. And it was actually, in doing this, helped pave the way for Vince McMahon to buy up all the territories and make a national wrestling company. So as much as he loves to take credit for that, he has to admit that he wouldn't have been able to had Jerry Lawler not got in and Andy Kaufman not done their little feud. And for as real as a lot of people thought that was, it absolutely was not. It was a rib all the way from the top to the bottom. They were in on every little bit, even the slap on the David Letterman show. And the only person that wasn't in on that was David Letterman. That he doesn't really like it when stuff like that happens. But who really cares? So, now we get on to one of my favorites, all-time favorites. You know I've got the single pop of this because I went nuts doing it. The first wrestling video I did of the year was actually Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And he is one of those guys that really I don't feel got everything that he deserved. But he got everything that he wanted. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's, he got some championships. And honestly, he was one of the few characters wrestlers where his whole gimmick thing was actually more distracting from his talent. Usually that's the other way around. You get the show going on and drawing attention to the actual wrestler and everything, and that's what they kind of coast on. But in this case, it was the exact opposite. It was just like, don't pay attention to the big entrance and everything. Just wait till the guy gets into the ring. And he was definitely that, but they gave him such a big gimmick. I never understood that. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, it was kind of ridiculous in the effect that his real name was like Blood. His last name is Blood. So it was just like, why is that not his wrestling name? But yeah, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, he is the badass that, can't get enough of, and really wish we had gotten more of him when he was younger, even though from what we've seen, he can still go. But that leads us directly to our second mystery. Who do we got now? We've already got Triple H, so we'll actually just go ahead and put him in here. And only missing Hogan. And then we've got the missing Hogan, and then the other two more recent champions, including the biggest wrestler of all time, which would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And why this keeps happening? You know, sometimes you can slide these little fuckers right out of here, but now sometimes you can't. This one's not gonna be agreeable, so we're going to. It's difficult holding this thing without seeing who the person is. And so now we have got your winner and the new WWF champion. It is Triple H. Never mind. Oh yeah, I thought it'd be funny to do the whole, and your new champion would be, and yeah, it was. It's still WWE champion, Triple H. Okay, so we're definitely not getting a perfect pull on this case. That was so bad. But it is a little bit fortuitous in the respect that it looks like this next set has more of the click in it, and wow, I just totally ripped that box up. That was not intentional. Why is this box not wanting to open? It's a good thing I don't keep these boxes for any reason. Okay, let's just tear you open, pull you out. Toss that over here. It's a nice little mess over there. And we get our new tray. And first up, who are we getting? But we're getting the bad guy. We are getting Razor Ramon. And this was one of those, you actually loved him being the bad guy. He always worked better as a bad guy. And that's why he was so recognizable when he went over to WCW and made it look like they were coming to, the WWE was coming to take over, is because he was so recognizable and he was so far over, because Razor Ramon was just, he was a workhorse, and it is a shame that he never got more than the Intercontinental Championship, but and unfortunately he's passed, but he was always a joy to watch, and he'd always get under your skin even when you liked him. I think one of the cool things about Scott Hall was that when he did make the jump from WWE to WCW, he made one of the most ingenious clauses in his contract that they agreed to. And that was, no one would make more money than he would. If they hired somebody else, like a bigger star, like when they brought Hulk Hogan in later, just after that, to help form the NWO, when they signed Hogan in there, they obviously had to give him a ton of money. And due to the clause in his contract, he basically got paid that same amount, if not a little bit more. And I always thought that is one of the slyest little things to do, because it's so easy to pay the new exciting person all the money, but then when then eventually you get somebody new coming in here that you are just like, well, I'm willing to throw more money at him. But good old Razor didn't want that going on, and put that clause in his contract that he would always be the highest paid performer or wrestler anyway. And so yeah, that to me, it was like, how the hell did you get away with that? I think it's pretty badass and pretty much a testament to just how good he was. But he was just as cunning and clever in the ring. But now we're going to go with the other part of the Outsiders. The other founding member of the NWO, which was Kevin Nash. And this is his Diesel attire, which this is pretty cool. I think this was actually, I think Diesel was actually the Chase. I think it's the exact same pop and everything, but it was pretty much called Kevin Nash, and had it written across his shirt and everything. But the Chase for that in the full-size pops was actually Diesel, which, you know, came obviously in a box that said Diesel, and written on his shirt was Diesel. So it's really kind of cool to get the Diesel version in the smaller one. So I believe this was what was supposed to be the Chase. I could be mistaken. That could be completely backwards. And it wouldn't be like Raze didn't feel stupid before. But yeah, this is Big Daddy Cool himself. And we are getting right through this. I'm trying not to keep the. I mean, I keep going on about some people more than others, but it's really more about me trying to keep this video at a reasonable level, reasonable size, but at the same time not being able to help and talk, because you know Raze likes to talk. But we go from Big Daddy Cool Diesel to the little guy, Rey Mysterio Jr. Which, I mean, at this point, he's just Rey Mysterio. When I first started watching him, he was Rey Mysterio Jr. And that was in WCW. And, you know, like, right out of the gate, the guy was awesome. Like, he did stuff that nobody else could. Obviously, wearing the mask helped out a lot as far as helping him stand out. I know he went maskless for a while. But yeah, it's cool. It's always interesting to see. I mean, he's another one of those guys that really didn't need the big production because his talent spoke for itself. But he did it anyway. I mean, I believe there's a WrestleMania where he's full on masked up everything, and it's all in a whole Flash theme. So, you know, the Bearded Barbarian loved that one. But yeah, he seems a little bit off as far as being in this particular set, but I don't really know where else you would have put him, even considering the other people in there. I understand why they included him in the overall set, but like as far as placement goes, I'm not 100% positive how that goes. Like, essentially, after I get the initial thing done, I kind of put them in the order in which I like, and being as how I've got, you know, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, you know I'm going to have a click wall. Or a click little tray, whatever you want to call it. But with Rey Mysterio, I'm not really sure where to put him, because he's not even like any of the other wrestlers in there. He was smaller. He took down giants, and he's still going strong even now that he's in the Hall of Fame. And yeah, he's just one of those people. I think now he's just trying to put over his son at this point. But like, he's somebody you get excited about when you see him come out. 619, and now we are going to go with the champion. And what champion are we gonna get? I have a feeling that it just came right out of the bottom. I didn't see who it was, but the bottom just kind of opened up and pulled his weight. He just kind of shoved his way out. So not really sure what that's about, but maybe it was another Triple H trying to get out. We don't know. So now, ladies and gentlemen, your new WWF champion, it's The Rock. There he is. There is the Brahma Bull. This is actually only my second pop for The Rock. Why is this suddenly not coming out? It was like falling out when I opened it. There we go. Yeah, The Rock says, This is just truly about as badass as it gets. The Rock is an amazing performer. I know he's gotten heat as of late because of his essential never stops selling kind of thing. And when I say that, like, he's just basically becoming a marketing brand. Yeah, he cut his teeth, he got going, and he really showed everybody that it was no surprise when he crossed over, and really wasn't a surprise that he was going to be as big as he got, because the man has got charisma just dripping off of him. He made an excellent champion, and honestly, I think that's part of what made the Attitude Era so entertaining, is that you had The Rock and Stone Cold, which were these two huge mega stars, and the fact that he could become a mega star with the overshadowing presence of Stone Cold all the time was really a testament to just how good he actually ended up being. So yeah, we have got The Rock, and he is actually labeled to be on the bottom set, so we're going to put him here. You know, I would just be fine if I got Stone Cold out of this little set, and just not gotten a Hogan. I really don't really like, because the more I hear about Hogan, the more I don't like about him. So and then he keeps popping up. Let's try it for no Hogan. I'm probably going to get him now that I've said that. But, oh my goodness, this box just does not... These boxes are not agreeing with me. But what are we going to do? We're on the last batch. And this is a big batch because... who do we get to start with in this case? But we get to start with the Phenom himself, The Undertaker. And this is actually, this is the pot that I have of him, which is the Ministry of Darkness robes, which is really my favorite era of his, because they really lead into the whole supernatural aspect, him being a dark figure. The only thing I really didn't like about that was that he kept bowing to a higher power, which it ended up being a ridiculous wrap up for a very interesting story as well. But I always loved the idea of the Undertaker and his Ministry of Darkness, and having all the characters that they spawned from that. I mean, we got Edge and Christian from that. We got oh goodness, we got the Acolytes. The Farouk and Bradshaw, that was a great team that came out of that. I mean, you had a lot of fun bringing that out, and the only thing I really didn't like about it was that when it ended, they all kind of separated, but a lot of them still kept that same gimmick. But yeah, the now retired Undertaker, nobody quite had a career like his, especially with his undefeated streak at WrestleMania. That would be a hard one. That would be an impossible one to top at this point. Nobody's ever gonna even start to accomplish that one. And yeah, worked out perfectly, and I think it's the only guy that could have done it. So, good start for this last row. And then we have the British Bulldog. The British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. The late Davey Boy Smith. I actually remember watching him and the Dynamite Kid as the tag team, which I really enjoyed that. I think I was still watching at the point where he basically just trimmed down to just him, and he was just the British Bulldog instead of being half of it. I do remember the Matilda, the bulldog that they used to bring out to the ring, and I absolutely loved that. But you never hear anybody talk about Matilda anymore, so I'm going to talk about Matilda. Matilda was the little English bulldog that they had going on with to accompany them to the ring. And it was just a little gimmick, and it was a lot of fun. And it didn't really make a whole heck of a lot of sense because, I mean, the English bulldog, I guess, maybe I don't know enough about England and their propensity for bulldogs. But, you know, when you think England and you think dogs, you tend to think Corgi because of the late Queen. Yeah, I always enjoyed it. And the funny thing about me being a little kid, I was always surprised when he'd speak and he had an English accent. Of course he would have an English accent. He was the British Bulldog. But so, yeah. Always like having him in his British garb there, because having the flag and everything going on there. When he came back in jeans, nothing good ever came from that. And now we come up with a person that is so new that he almost seems out of place in this lineup. As a matter of fact, he is really out of place in this lineup. And that would be Batista, Dave Batista. I don't understand why he's in this set. Because this would be, this kind of leans more towards leading into the Attitude Era. And yeah, Batista wasn't around yet. I guess he did do a couple things and everything, and he's had success in his own right. He was one of those guys who literally came in with the full intention on breaking out and becoming a Hollywood star, and he has done a great job of doing that. But like, yeah, it if there was one of these things is not like the other, this really doesn't make sense. He is associated with Triple H being in Evolution. But if you're not going to have Randy Orton or Ric Flair in here, that's kind of, yeah, it really keeps the set from being strange. We're going to take a look at him and everything. And here he is holding his little mic. This is one, yes, I don't have this character. I don't have the British Bulldog either. Yeah, this isn't a character I would have picked up on my own. But not to say I don't like him, but he wasn't worthy enough for me to go out and get. As far as the wrestling goes, I mean, yeah, I love his stuff that he's done since he's crossed over, but wrestling, not so much. So that leads us to our last. And who is our final champion of this Bitty Pop set? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your new champion. Open. Why don't you open? Your winner and the new WWE champion. It has actually worked out exactly. Yeah, I'm completely happy with this. Like, the only one I'm missing is Hulk Hogan, and I don't give a damn. This is actually the best case scenario. We got Stone Cold. I don't have a Stone Cold Pop. I think they made a soda of him, and I didn't get that one either. And this is fine as far as having it. I mean, I won't, like, take away from everything that he did, but to me, he was just a bald dude with a mustache. That's really not that exciting as far as getting a pop for him. So I never did. I've never gotten a full-size pop of Stone Cold, and nor do I really care. This is just fine. This is actually perfect for my collection in there, and where I get to represent Stone Cold. And he's got his belt around his shoulder, which, yeah, I didn't even think The Rock came. I think that Stone Cold is the only one that actually came with a championship belt. I was looking at the odd thinking, trying to see if Hulk Hogan had one, but and that's actually pretty accurate and perfect for this. But yeah, there's Stone Cold with his championship belt, and this is just too cool for words. I love this thing. Already, I love this thing, and that is gonna be the he is the great. He was the most, basically the way he was able to turn go from being a pretty much somebody that WCW didn't even want to use to becoming the biggest star in the industry and maintaining that. The only thing that stopped him when it did was basically complications due to the injury he sustained early on in his career with his neck. And that's the only reason he's put out at this point. But he's still out there. He's still doing podcasts. He's still doing guest spots at places. He's still out there entertaining the hell out of people. And of course, that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Like, he really organically came into being, and really kind of ran with it, and he did it so well. And technically, he goes up in this batch while The Rock comes out again. Why is he so difficult sometimes, but then just pops out other times? The Rock's going to go down in here in this batch. So that is the collection. Raze got the entire set, minus Hulk Hogan, which... not really upset about that in the slightest. Left with an extra Triple H, so we'll see what he does with that. Who knows? Yeah. But I've been going through a lot of my stuff and trying to trim the fat, so to speak. So trying to figure out what I'm going to do with a lot of the stuff that I've gotten, that I've collected, and really don't have much use for now. When I got started, when I really got serious about collecting Funko Pops, and knew I was going to do something on the channel which had to do with the pandemic, the channel really went in a different direction than I had initially planned it to, because suddenly there was a lockdown and I was stuck, and I just basically had to do what I had here. So I basically started getting as many Funko Pops as I could, and that's what the videos turned into. And that's the way it's evolved. And trying to get away from that a little bit more as we go. You'll see that more on Fridays than anything else. But yeah, that's where it kind of worked. But where that's left me is in a position where I have I ended up getting a lot of Funko Pops that I got just for content. And yeah, now they're just taking up space. I've got better versions. Maybe didn't necessarily want more than one character, more than one of the same character, which a lot of people have enjoyed pointing out that I have gotten anyway. So yeah, Raze is kind of slimming down the collection as far as that goes, and we'll have to see what he does with that. But I hope you enjoyed this little rundown, another stab at the Bitty Pops. Always enjoy doing these things, and look forward to doing more. And you know, I've got another set coming up of Bitty Pops that Raze is getting ready to do, and we'll be dropping as soon as he gets all that worked out and braves his way into opening those up. But I hope you've enjoyed this little walk down WWE. Like I said, I generally do it about once a month. I pop out something wrestling related to keep the wrestling fans happy, and I tend to get a good response with them, but I'm not in it or with it enough to actually become a wrestling channel or even flirt at being a wrestling channel. I'm not. I'm just wrestling nostalgia, maybe. But even then, I would be out of content. Basically, I am out of content. Until I get something else, I'm kind of out of content. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and give me a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and never forget, the life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be just fine.